Fewer hallucinations are better, right? But the new o3-mini and o3 models are worse than the o1. So what's the problem? OpenAI has some thoughts on this. Hello everyone, this is Era. OpenAI has introduced the o3 and o3-mini models. Amidst the ongoing surge of AI models, these have emerged with impressive benchmark scores, drawing significant attention and raising expectations. Despite this, the o3-mini is generating quite a stir. It's been reported to produce more nonsensical outputs than the o1 model, a phenomenon known as hallucination. This happens when the model presents false information. These occurrences have increased a lot compared to before. OpenAI was aware of these challenges when they launched the models. This is in their official documentation. Look closely and you'll see they admit they do not fully understand the causes. So now the AI industry is debating whether to use OpenAI's models or alternatives like Gemini. This public opinion is also worth examining. There are many speculations about why these hallucinations occur more frequently in inference models. In essence, although these reasoning models seemed promising based on their benchmark scores, their limitations have become apparent in real-world applications. This suggests that making decisions solely on these scores is inadequate. Let's delve into which AI model might be the best fit. On April 16th, o3 and o3-mini were launched in the US. Scroll down and you'll see the benchmark scores. These sections are likely the most viewed. At a glance, the brighter yellow ones are the newly launched o3 and o3-mini. Many say the new o3-mini is better than the old o3 and o1 models. What impressed me most is the Humanity Last Exam section. In this section, it almost reaches the level of deep research. Thus, even compared to deep research, which utilized extensive computing resources for evaluation, it appears that o3 employed various tools. They probably used Python or browsing tools for deep research. This suggests reaching that level is achievable. Multimodality seems to have improved a lot. However, these scores are hard to trust. Developers were excited because of better coding skills. However, in practice it makes many strange noises. This is a problem. What is causing it? Whenever OpenAI introduces a new model, they release a system card. This card contains a detailed analysis of the AI model. They conduct thorough internal research to evaluate risks, ensure safety, and assess hallucinations, and then they share these findings. If you look into the specifics, within the 30 pages of various content, the last 4 pages focus on hallucinations. Look closely at the hallucination section. Focus on this chart. What's the hallucination rate? A lower rate is better because it means fewer hallucinations. However, the new o3-mini and o3 are performing worse than the o1. This means they have more hallucinations. The hallucination rate for the o3-mini is 0.48, nearly 3 times higher. The o3's rate is also twice as high. Hallucinations differ from accuracy. Accuracy means correct answers. When it comes to accuracy, the o3 is a bit better than the o1. However, the o3-mini still doesn't perform well, so it can provide more accurate answers, but it also produces more nonsense. These are separate criteria. But the issue is, OpenAI itself says more research is needed to understand these results. In other words, they do not know why this is happening right now. TechCrunch has also discussed this issue, pointing out that according to OpenAI's own benchmark score, known as Person QEI, the performance of these models is actually worse compared to the previous model o1 or even the newer o3-mini. The rate jumped from 16% to 33%. According to Translucent, a third-party testing company, this is their analysis of the process. Originally, the OpenAI O series leveraged reinforcement learning to gradually enhance reasoning skills and produce more accurate results. Although models like GPT-4 are generally capable of resolving certain issues, the use of reinforcement learning can sometimes amplify these problems, making them more apparent. So if the hallucination rate is high, even if the benchmark scores are high, the model might be less useful. This is a significant consideration. You know Snowflake, right? Their CEO has been quite vocal about the need to address hallucinations. Why focus solely on benchmark scores without considering hallucinations? It's crucial to include hallucination data for a thorough assessment of AI models. So some people are independently creating leaderboards. They aim to measure how much misinformation or hallucination these LLMs generate. When you see confabulations, think of it as hallucinations, nonsense answers or no answers at all. When you balance the performance at 50-50, Google's Gemma 327B model scores highest among the Gemma 3 series, but its hallucination rate is much higher. The o4-mini model has a lower rate. This assessment balances hallucinations and non-responses equally. You can change these settings for different outcomes. When you decrease the amount of irrelevant information, you end up with more non-responses but fewer nonsensical answers. In this scenario, customized models like GPT-4 tend to perform better. Conversely, if you prioritize models that produce more irrelevant information, reasoning models generally rank higher. But when you compare it to the current debate, you see that models like o4-mini or o3 don't rank as high. This suggests that these analyses are just snapshots and don't represent the whole picture, so these benchmark scores aren't necessarily false. Benchmark results results can be reproduced. Anyone testing them should see similar outcomes. Yet these benchmarks might not accurately represent real-world application or specific user needs. A model topping the charts does not guarantee optimal performance in every context. So I delved deeper into this by browsing Reddit, where many people have shared their views. Some people believe Gemini 2.0 from AI Studio is highly adaptable, while others claim the new versions perform significantly worse in coding compared to the o4-mini. This is quite contradictory. It was said to have higher scores here. They claim it achieves much higher scores than the o4-mini, according to benchmarks. But despite that, in terms of actual usability, it is not very good. And this is the core issue. Given the increasing perception that benchmark scores frequently do not align with practical applications, it is easy to see why many people find this viewpoint convincing. Developers thought it would perform well based on benchmark scores, but when they tried app development or creating agents through augmented reality, it didn't work well in practice. And there's something else. Some say things get worse when they use the canvas. They end up saying, it doesn't work because of the canvas. Some say o4 performs poorly with the canvas. Many errors happen specifically with the canvas. These are issues users can directly resolve. This might be related to the interface, where the model fails to function correctly when trying to input something. People also mention that o4 is quite intelligent. Sometimes it seems like accuracy doesn't matter at all. They propose that while these models contain a wealth of information and knowledge, the extensive training with additional data and reinforcement learning might lead them to overlook what was learned in the initial training phase. Even though the accuracy was quite high during pre-training, continuous reinforcement learning might lead to forgetting previous information, resulting in responses that converge into a chaotic mix. This suggests that reasoning models are quite challenging. You can use benchmarks to boost performance, but in the end, the reasoning model is clearly defined here. They say that repeatedly feeding prompts to the model in an attempt to produce better responses can increase the likelihood of hallucinations as more tokens are generated. Ultimately, the hallucination rate is related to how well the model remembers facts, not necessarily how smart it is. Some people are good at memorizing. Others excel at logical thinking and making judgments. We should choose our models wisely. For tasks needing organized factual data, existing foundation models are best. That's likely why GPT-4 was developed. Nevertheless, it's important to distinguish areas that require deductive reasoning and address them in a separate manner. There's a lot of excitement about AGI, with many suggesting it's just around the corner. Even Sam Altman is enthusiastic, mentioning we're nearing level 2 AI. However, despite impressive benchmark scores, when you actually use these models, questions about their practical usability remain. As more AI models are introduced, advancements will keep happening. However, a high score does not automatically make a new model the right choice. Users should learn to select the AI that aligns with their specific needs. I've tried different models myself. I wanted to share this with you, so I made this short video today. It seems it won't work. In the store, they sell engineering hoodies like Who's You Wears. Desk pads, t-shirts, and group tees are also available. The quality is good, so please check them out. On Instagram, we share short videos and updates that aren't on YouTube. We send fun and concise videos and news, so please take an interest. This has been Era.